everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nicole and I am a part-time reseller on Poshmark. Today I want to talk about how to make your listings better on Poshmark and things that you shouldn't do and things that you should do instead, and how to really improve your listings. This is really key to making sales on Poshmark because it's all they have. All the customer has is your listing with the pictures, the descriptions, and that's what they're going off of to decide if they should buy your item. And especially for brands that are a lot more saturated on Poshmark, it's really key to make your listings stand out so that way buyers want to buy from you. And I've been on Poshmark for about 4 years and I've seen it all in my day of being on Poshmark, and I've also started not so great with my listings, and I'll actually insert some footage here of like how my listings started. I didn't have a clear background, the lighting was bad, and it wasn't great. And I know we all start somewhere, but I just wanted to kind of put this out there for anyone that is new to Poshmark or that is trying to improve their listings to be able to get more sales. I think this will really help take your closet up to the next level and make you stand out. So without further ado, let's get into my tips on how to improve your listings and how to get more sales coming into your closet. Okay, so the first tip I have is to not have wrinkly items. So this is really important because when you go shop on a website for a store or anything like that, the items are perfectly laying out, or they're modeled, or they look really well presented. But if you see an item that's like wrinkly on somebody else's page, it just doesn't look professional. It doesn't look like you took the time to take a good photo of the item. It kind of looks like you just like rushed to put the item in the background and then took the photo. And it doesn't really let the buyer know that like, hey, this person takes good care of their items. Hey, this person like has good items. It kind of seems like it's not really as professional. And also sometimes it really takes away from like the texture of the shirt or the the pattern or something of that sort. So it's really just important to not have wrinkly items, especially in the cover photo, because that is what they use when they're browsing through the feed to be able to see. And if your cover photo has like wrinkles in it, they're just going to scroll past it. People don't want to buy that. So if you don't have the time on that day to get everything, all the pictures looking nice, at least make the cover photo not wrinkly, because that is what they're going to see at first. But ideally you would have all of the pictures in that listing wrinkle free, steamed nicely, and like hung up on a hanger or on a mannequin, or if you model them yourself, that's also great. So I know not everyone has the time to steam everything, or whatever the case may be, but try and make the item look as presentable as possible. If that is that you have to tape the item to like your backdrop or to the ground so it lays flat, that's another good idea that I always do. Like if I need to get the sleeves to lay properly, I'll tape it to the surface. But yeah, I mean, getting rid of wrinkles makes a huge difference. And as you'll see in these pictures that I'm going to post up here, it's a wrinkly shirt versus a non-wrinkly shirt, and you'll see the big difference. And so I can't recommend that enough, and that is a good place to start. The next thing you want to avoid is having a lack of description in your listings. So if you have like a one-liner that just says like, it's a new with tag item, no flaws. Okay, well that doesn't really help the buyer determine if they should buy the item. Having details such as measurements or sizing or material, or like if it's a boxy fit versus a tight fit versus like, baggy or loose, or does it have distressing in it? Does it have any flaws? You really got to describe the item in as much detail as possible. And what I've been doing in more recent years is just kind of putting the measurements so I have the measuring tape on the item so you could see exactly what the sizing is, but I also kind of try to put it in the description and say like, it's about this much pit to pit, or it's like this much length to length. Or if it's like a maxi dress, I'll say like, this is from the top to the bottom, and it will fit either a maxi or a midi depending on your height. I really try to be specific, and I also try to say like, does it have like a layer underneath it? Is it sheer? Details that people would want to know when they're making a purchase, because in a picture it's really hard to tell like, is something sheer or would it fit me? Because that's always a question that like resellers get, like, is this item gonna fit me? So if you give the best description you can, like, I think it will fit this size, but it's approximately this wide and this length, I think that will really help buyers determine if it will fit them or if it would be the right fit. And also it's really important too because some people have like allergies to certain materials. So if you put the material tag or if you put what material it is in the description, it makes it really easy for someone that's sorting based on that to be able to determine if that is a good item for them to buy. So if you have a very small description, you might as well try and, spice it up a little bit and add more details to it. They give you a lot of room to describe the item on purpose. So take that room to, really describe the item. And this also goes for the title as well. I know like a couple months ago, they actually expanded the title so you can make it a lot longer than you used to be able to. And this is really helpful because you can use keywords and you can make your title really good so it'll be searchable. So like I always put like the brand name, then I put like, I describe the item in whatever way I can. I say if it's a top or if it's pants or, whatever. And then I also put the size at the bottom or at the end of the title. So I put all the description I can so somebody who's searching it and typing it into Google or searching it on Poshmark, it will come up because I'm literally putting in all those keywords. So having your title match your description and making everything very detailed, it leaves very little room for error or for the customer to think that they were misled in a certain way. The next tip actually also goes off of the description and the title, and it is to not use emojis in your title. I know everybody, like I've seen so many people use emojis, or they put like host pick, or they'll put like HP with like the party emoji, or they'll put like other emojis in the title. But I hate to say it, but that actually makes your listing a lot less searchable, because when someone's searching for an item, say they're searching for a specific kind of top, they're not going to search emoji some tight kind of top. Like they're gonna search the name of the top, they're gonna search the brand, they're not gonna search specific emojis. So it really hurts you in a way because it's taking away from the search. And when people are scrolling through their feed and you have a bunch of emojis, it's blocking off what the name of the item is. So it's harder for them to determine like what your item is. And so they have to go based on what the listing picture looks like. And so that makes it even more tricky. So I always say don't put emojis in the title, or if you're gonna put them in the title, put them at the end, because people want to be able to see what you're searching. And so if you have keywords in the beginning, they'll be able to see it and it'll come up in the search bar. And a lot of people will put like host pick in the title to let people know that their item is a host pick. And I used to do that myself. I'm totally guilty of this, but I've learned over the years that buyers don't really care. Like they just really don't. They want to know if your item is good. They want to know what the item is. They want to know the size of it, but they don't really care if it's a host pick or not, because ultimately you can get a host pick just by sharing the hosts listings, and the host picks are not really anything special. And I know like I always thought they were. I always thought it was like such a big deal if I got a host pick. But in the end, it really, like, maybe it gets a little bit more attention because it's in the host picks category, but that's only for that 2-hour party. After that, the host pick doesn't really mean anything. So putting host pick in the title, it's not necessary, and it doesn't really make your item stand out even more. And if you're gonna put it in there, if you really want to let somebody know that this is a host pick, you could put it in the description even, or you can put it in the title for the 2-hour duration of the party, but then take it out because it's just not necessary after that. And people don't need to know that information. And when I used to put this in my title or something, I would be like host pick ×6 for like however many times it was a host pick. But then I realized it's taking room away that is valuable to describe the item, and it's not going to help you make the sale. So just get rid of the emojis, get rid of the host pick, get rid of like descriptors like beautiful top or like things like that, because that's not going to help someone determine if they want to buy the shirt. Everyone has a different opinion on what's beautiful or, whatever. So take out description words like that and actually use words to describe the top, describe the color of it, describe the pattern, describe the texture, or describe the fit. That will help somebody buy the item a lot more than using words like beautiful or cute or, something like that. This next one might be a little obvious, which I think a lot of these other ones are obvious too, but you'd be surprised how many people I see doing them. And it's just to not have blurry photos. And I actually was scrolling through Poshmark the other day. I was sharing a bunch of, community shares, and I came across this listing where the cover photo itself was very blurry, and I was like, okay, well, maybe they just, put the wrong photo as the cover photo, because I've done that before. But then I was scrolling through the listing, and every single photo was, like, blurry, the coloring was off, it was very unclear, like, you could barely tell, like, the item's condition, And like a lot of the photos were just like so blurry that it felt like somebody was like moving the camera while the picture was being taken. And again, this just comes across as not professional. This comes across as like someone that's rushing to get their listings done, and it just doesn't seem like you put a lot of effort into it. And again, when you go onto a website like a store or anything like that, you see a very professional site. You don't see any blurry pictures. They're very crystal clear. They probably use like really good cameras and very good lighting. But I mean, you can use like an iPhone, or you can use a camera. You could use whatever camera you have, but make sure the lighting is good and make sure that it's not blurry, because again, it doesn't help you make the sale, and it doesn't look very professional. So if someone's scrolling through and is trying to find a good item and then they come across a very blurry picture, they're probably going to just keep scrolling. And so make sure that when you're taking your photos, they're really good, and make sure you double check each photo in the listing that you're making, just to make sure that, you know, hey, this one didn't come out blurry or whatever. And this also goes for if you're going to add a video to the listing, which you can do now. Make sure the video is like worthwhile, because sometimes people put a video up and it's like, what are you trying to show in this video? So I always try to show like if it's like shiny, or if there's like a texture to it, or like if it's sheer, or anything that like I think would be really important that the buyer would want to know. But don't just put a video to put a video, because it's not going to help you. So make sure that it's not blurry, and that it's well lit, and that the video is like worthy of, you know, being there. And my final tip of things just not to do when you're listing on Poshmark is to, in the cover photo, cut off the length of the item. So a lot of the times you see this for like dresses or long skirts or like pantsuits or something that takes up a lot of room. And you see like a lot of times people will list it and then it'll just show like the middle of the item. And that, again, well, one, it doesn't look professional, but two, it's like, well, what does the top and the bottom of the item look like? Because you can't really see it. So then you have to click into the listing to then see what it's all about. So I've seen this a lot, and I always used to struggle with like long maxi dresses or like something like that. Like I would be like, I don't know how to fit this in the frame. But a good tip that I've used is to just really, really step away from the camera and kind of take it that way. There are ways to go about taking a longer photo. And if you really can't and you're really struggling, then maybe you have to take the photo in a different room or a different lighting where you can go further away from the camera. And if you really want to be able to get detail, like I was actually posting a dress today where I was trying to get a maxi length dress, but it was hard to see the details of the dress because it was so far away. So what I see a lot of people do is they kind of put the long version of it so they could see the whole dress, but then they kind of zoom into the pattern on the side. So they have two images side by side, and that way you could see what the pattern is, but you could also see the full item, and you could see, okay, well, this is a long dress, it has this kind of strap, and it, you know, you see the whole thing. And I think this is a lot better than like cutting off the item and only showing like the middle, because then it's like, you know, it doesn't look as not professional when you do that. Because Poshmark only allows you to take items in the square photo, I always recommend, if you're taking your photos on your phone before you're posting them, to make sure you're taking them in the square mode, because then it will automatically put them in the right format. If you take it in photo, then it's going to get cut off when you go to list it because it's a square image. So I always just recommend taking it in the square photo, or you could just take the photos in Poshmark itself and then save it as a draft, and then that way you know it's the correct size. Or the other thing you can do is, if you forget to take it in the square photo, you can always change it in the phone in the settings, but then you risk the item getting cut off again if it's, you know, too big. So I just recommend taking it in the square photo to begin with, or taking the photos in Poshmark in the drafts. And that way you know it'll be the correct size, but just don't cut off the item, because again, it looks unprofessional. And when you have the next couple photos after the cover photo, you can zoom into certain areas. So you could zoom into the straps, you can zoom into the bottom, you can zoom into anything, but the cover photo you want to be of the whole item, and you really want to show the item as a whole. So these are my 5 tips on things that you should not do on Poshmark and things that you should do to make your listings better. I know I always am trying to come up with ways to make my listings stand out, especially because I sell a lot of brands that are very saturated and that there are a lot of other ones out there like my stuff. And I am one that I do not model my clothes in my closet, because I have a range of different sizing. I have men's, women's, kids, I have everything. So I can't really try everything on, and I can't model it. And sometimes that is how you can determine how an item will fit better. But if you're descriptive, if you have good photos, if you have good titles and you don't cut off the item in the photo, you're going to be just as good as someone that models the item themselves. And I always used to try to use stock photos when I can, and sometimes I still do, but a lot of the companies now are cracking down on people using the copyrighted photos, and so then they take down the listings. So to err on the side of caution, just take your own photos if you can, and you can kind of style them in a certain way. And if you have a nice clean background using Photo Room, which will white out the background, it'll make your closet look a lot more professional. It'll look like a storefront. And I always recommend doing that, even if you even if you take nothing out of this video, just white out the backgrounds of your video or of your listings, because it'll really make it pop. And I actually heard that Google puts preferred searchability on people that have white backgrounds. Not sure if that's true, but I've heard that. So I would just recommend doing that too, because I think that'll really go a long way. And again, you could see in the beginning when I started on Poshmark, I had weird backgrounds going on. I would take them on my bedspread, I'd take them on the carpet, and it wasn't great. So make sure you have consistent white backgrounds and make sure you follow all these tips, and I'm sure your listings will stand out amongst others and you will have a lot more sales and a lot more people buying your items. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe and stick around for more. I do all things reselling, whether that be how to improve your listings or how to make more sales, or brands that I pick up that I think really sell well for me, or brands that I don't recommend picking up. I just do all the things reselling. So if you are interested in that, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next week.